with kids. How much does it actually cost? Okay, we just spent 3 weeks in Japan, and I'm about to tell you exactly what you need to watch out for in terms of budget, what you're going to be spending the most amount of money in, what to watch out for so you don't overspend, and where it actually makes fantastic sense because you're going to be saving a lot. Hi, my name is Marae from Brave Family Travel, and we love creating content to help other families travel around the world with their kids. We travel with 2 kids, and we've been to Japan twice, each time 3 weeks. With the first time, we went with a 2-month-old and a 3-year-old, and the second time, this year in 2025, we went with a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old. The first time we visited Tokyo, um, Fuji area, Kyoto, etc. And the second time we skipped the main island and went all the way north to Hokkaido during the winter and spent a little bit of time doing winter sports and enjoying our winter time in Hokkaido, Japan, which was absolutely wonderful. I will tell you more about both trips. And by the way, if you want itineraries, places to stay, and all the details of where to go in Japan with kids for either one of those islands, you can check the link below where I include my Japan guide that has all of that information in ample detail. But in this video, I'm going to break down to you what to look out for in terms of pricing because everybody has videos about the cost of Japan and how expensive it is. But what people are not telling you is that when you travel with kids to Japan, yes, there are unforeseen expenses, but it's actually not that much more expensive than traveling as a couple. And the reason being is that Japan has great discounts for little kids. If you have children under the age of 6, they can do virtually everything for free in Japan. If you're traveling to Japan with children under 6, especially if they're using your same bedding, they're not paying for extra beds. You're not paying for extra space. There's no extra cost for bringing the kids with you. Whether you're renting a hotel room for the night for a couple or a family of 4 with 2 kids under 6, the cost is the same. One thing to look out for is that if you're renting a hotel room in Japan, a lot of them don't really offer playpens or playarts because they don't have a lot of room. But what they do offer is bed railings. So it's very easy to just call the hotel or send them a message and ask for a bed rail. They'll offer it at no extra cost, and it's a very convenient way to just add some security for your children sleeping with you in Japan. Another thing to keep in mind is that if you're traveling with children in Japan and you're staying in typical Japanese rooms, I highly suggest them. They're super fun. They're very different than your Western hotel rooms, obviously. And they're safer for children because the bed is already on the floor, so you don't have to worry about them falling anywhere. Japan hotels are great for children. They offer tons of amenities. And I personally found that hotels all the way from 3 stars to 5 stars had similar amenity amount and quality. Of course, the 5 star hotels have nicer products, nicer quality, but even 3 star hotels have very, very nice amenities, including toothbrushes, PJs for all the family members, yukatas for everyone. The ones that had onsen have combs and hair products, facial products, shaving cream, shaving um, shavers, both for females and males, combs, and the whole thing. Japan is incredibly easy to travel around because first, all hotels have all the amenities you need, and second, every single hotel we've been in, from 3 stars all the way to very nice 5 star hotels, has a laundry machine. So a lot of us tend to overpack, and that's really not necessary because you can just do laundry in Japan, which then makes traveling easier because you don't have to carry those big luggages around. I have all your tips about what to do with your luggage, where to store it, and everything in between in my guides. If you go to the link below, it's included. So let's talk about budgeting for Japan. So one of the things that is most expensive when you're traveling in Japan is obviously the airfare. Airfare is going to be your biggest expense. We have flown bigger airlines, non-budget airlines, and also budget airlines to Japan. We have flown to Japan through Jetstar's Zip Air, which is great because Zip Air will give you a car seat in their infant fare. So you do pay for the seat, but of course it comes with a car seat, which is super safe, especially because there tends to be a lot of turbulence leading up to Japan. So that made us feel very comfortable on our first flight to Japan with a 2-month-old. Loved it. But in general, every airline that we've flown to Japan so far has been very accommodating of children. The biggest expense, of course, is going to be the airfare. I like to shop around and go to Google Flights, so that you can go ahead and see, kind of like when it's going to be the least expensive. And if you have the chance, connect through another cheaper destination in Asia, such as China, Shanghai, particularly Singapore, Australia if you can, or Hawaii. Those all offer very, very affordable fares to Japan. The last trip we did, we flew through Madrid with China Eastern, and we actually found a very affordable flight as well. The second biggest expense is going to be, honestly, food. Why? Because when you're traveling Japan, there's going to be so many things you want to try, especially little kids. And also souvenirs and toys. There are so many little cute trinkets that you want to buy, but there are some shops in Japan that are 100 yen shops that are great for buying souvenirs. So, one of the things that I recommend is instead of buying souvenirs or toys in the expensive shops that you see walking around, you go to the 100 yen shops. I include all the links and names of those stores in my guide as well, by the way, that you can actually get for 100 yen, which when we traveled was less than $1. You can get all kinds of things from local souvenirs, toys, trinkets, stickers, and all the cute little things that you just want to buy in Japan, including kid chopsticks, which are so cute. And my child, both children are still using. My oldest daughter, who is now 5 years old, learned how to use chopsticks on her first trip to Japan when she was 3. And the chopsticks we bought on that trip, she's still using to this day. Another thing to keep in mind is that Japanese trinkets are just better quality. I don't know how they do it, but they really are better quality. One tip I will give you is to bring a duffel bag inside of your regular carry on or checked in bag so that you can bring a bag full of stuff. I've done that every single trip and never regretted anything we bought in Japan. Aside from affordable prices, it's also really good quality stuff that we're still using a few years after. So, highly, highly recommend. The biggest expense is going to be food. Why? Because whereas formula, milk, and such items like fruits and whatnot, it's probably the same price as back home if you're living in the US or in Europe. I do find that when you're out and about, you're going to be buying a lot more, snacks and trinkets. Also, a lot of restaurants have unique meals for children that are very cute. You're going to be wanting to buy that. But I will say, compared to US prices, children meals are a lot more affordable in Japan than they are in the US. So it's not going to break your bank. Your transportation is going to be free for any child under 6, regardless of whether you're taking the bullet train or any regular train, buses, trams, etc. A lot of entrances to museums and attractions are all free for children under 6. The hotels, of course, don't charge for you to bring your baby and your toddler under 6 into the room with you. So your biggest expense is going to be food, and that obviously depends on how much your child eats. My children love to eat, so we spent a lot of money on food. We also love to eat, so that was not cheap for us. But of course, it was 100% worth it because Japanese food is amazing. I did a lot of runs to the 7-Eleven, and that ended up being a bulk of our food expense on this last trip, particularly because we were in Hokkaido. It was very cold and not everything is open at any time. So, of course, having a 7-Eleven open was really convenient to just go and run and get whatever we needed last minute. My oldest daughter became obsessed with these little matcha cookies that they have. Oh my gosh, she ate those every single day. But aside from that, really, it was not very expensive to travel with children as it would be without. Hotels range honestly from about $60 all the way to infinity and beyond. But I found that even at the $60 to $70 mark per night, you can get a comfortable, clean hotel room with plenty of amenities. We have always prioritized staying at hotels with onsen because we love the experience of having an onsen. We don't always stay at a family onsen hotels or hotels that only have a private one because sometimes when we go, those are just not available. They're booked out, and I don't tend to book things too far in advance. But I find that for me and my oldest daughter, it's always been possible and very, very comfortable and nice and welcoming to go to the onsen, just her and me together to the women one, and then my husband goes alone into the male one, and it's just always been a great experience. One thing that did rack up a little bit of our bill was doing skiing. Of course, ski lessons, ski passes, all that stuff really will bring up the bill of your hotel a lot, especially when you're going, obviously, during ski season. Ski resorts are not cheap. But I did find that it was very convenient to pay the extra money to stay in those resorts. Obviously, the convenience of just being there, ski in, ski out, but also having and paying for the all-inclusive buffet breakfast and some of their dinners was really convenient because in the mornings right before going into the mountain, it was great having everybody fed and ready to go. And then in the evenings, coming back home and just knowing that all the food you needed was there was also convenient. If you don't want to do this, you will save a lot of money by eating out in the local restaurants, but of course you're sacrificing convenience for price, so that's something to look out for. Another thing to look out for when you're visiting Japan is shopping. Japan has great shopping perks for foreigners. If you bring your passport with you, you can get duty free which gives you a discount in almost any shop. I found that shopping for kids' clothing wasn't necessarily cheaper than buying kids' clothing here in Europe or in the United States, but some of their clothing is just so cute and very good quality. So something to budget for. I would budget maybe around a couple of $100 for shopping clothing in general for you and your children if you're not a huge shopper but want to buy some things. Probably the most expensive thing we spent money on in Japan with our children was stuffed animals. They're everywhere. They're cute. Your children are going to want to have them. We paid as much as $20 for um, stuffed animals. Obviously, this is still less expensive than stuffed animals at any amusement parks, let's say in the US, but it's an added expense that I was not anticipating. And we ended up spending probably around $100 on just random toys overall that we bought as we were going to Japan, because they have a lot of these vending machines where you can put money and bring toys out. If you're traveling with a little kid, this may not be as big a deal, but anytime after like 2 or 3 years old, they're gonna want to get it, and it's just easier to cave than to fight with them about it the whole time. So if you want more tips on what to do in Japan, I give you the whole breakdown in my guide, including what hotels we stayed at, what we did, our whole itinerary, restaurants that we recommend, and then anything and everything else in between. I will give you a really quick breakdown of our pricing just so you have an idea. On our first trip to Japan, we spent around $10,000 for a family of four with a brand new baby. This combined a lot of moving around in the main island of Japan. We went to 3 or 4 destinations. We traveled for almost 3 weeks, included hotels, 4 and 5 star hotels for that trip alone, and eating out in restaurants of all kinds, from just food stalls on the street all the way to fancy restaurants, 5 star dining restaurants. On our second trip to Japan, we spent a little bit less. So we spent around $9,900 for 3 weeks for a family of four. Of course, you can spend a lot more and you can spend a lot less. We also stayed in really nice resorts. We did a lot of activities. We didn't really we weren't budgeting and trying to be cheap or to save money, but we also weren't splurging and buying everything that we saw or that came across our site. I will say we are content creators and we get a lot of our collaborations comped through that. I'm going to include my guide down there if you'd like to know how to do this as well. I'm happy to teach you and share my secrets. But even if you don't do this, Japan is not going to be the most expensive country to visit, even though it is also not the cheapest. Overall, I think Japan is an extremely amazing destination to travel with children. People are very welcoming, they love kids, and I highly, highly recommend you go. Again, if you're planning a trip and you would like to come, check out my links below. I include my free Japan with Kids guide that includes absolutely everything from itinerary to hotels. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.